All right, so here I'm going to try to record what I do, and then maybe I'll post this to Google Classroom as well, okay? And we'll see if that works or doesn't. Here's our second question, very similar. A circle whose center passes through the origin. Does anybody know what origin means as an ordered pair?
0, 0.
Very nice, 0, 0. Passes through the point -5, 12, which point also lies on the circle. So if we use the equation of a circle, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. You just want to substitute here. The only difference is your center is 0, 0. So you're only substituting in -5 minus 0 squared plus 12 minus 0 squared. If some of you guys were watching some of the videos I posted, maybe you saw this. This is the unit circle. So what that means is when you have 0, 0 as the origin, you don't have to use this formula because since h and k are 0, you're just left with -5 squared plus 12 squared equals r squared. So if you have an origin as your center, the other formula is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And that's just because h and k are 0. You don't have to memorize both formulas. You can just remember, I'm just going to re-highlight this one in yellow, this one, because if you know this one, you know both. So your goal is to figure out the radius squared. And again, I'm going back to my calculator. So 5 squared plus 12 squared. That tells me what my radius squared is, and what this question is asking you, for all these other points, which one of them is going to have the same radius squared? So what we're going to do is substitute and check, but we're going to use x squared plus y squared, because it's the same thing as using this one. You subtract 0 from something, it's the same thing as keeping it the same. So if I do the first one, 10 squared plus 3 squared, I'm going to see that is not the answer. So that one's wrong. Is there any questions so far? No? No? Okay. So I'm going back. That didn't help. Let's click this. You can use common sense if you want. If 10 and 3 didn't work, 12 and 13 are not going to work because they're bigger. So I got to put -12 in parentheses squared plus 13 in parentheses squared, or 13 squared. This is going to be a huge number. That's not close to 169. That's also wrong. So let's try the next one. The next one is 11 squared plus, I'm going to put this in parentheses, 2 second square root of 12. And again, anybody who signed in late, if you're wondering how you're supposed to do this at home, there is an app called Calculate 84 for iPhones, and then for Androids, I think you guys could download the actual calculator. So we see we actually got the correct answer here for the third one. It also equals, that was not what I wanted to do, it also equals 169. So that is our answer. I'm just going to check this last one, just to be sure, by dictionary. We have -8 squared plus, and then in parentheses, 5 second square root 21. I'm going to press right so I get out of that, squared. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see. I think I know what it did. I think I used the minus sign when I was supposed to use a negative sign. And now we see that's 589. That's not even close. Are there any questions about this? Either in the chat or unmute your mic. Please ask now or forever hold your peace. My 11 people who have signed on today. These are low numbers, people. Okay, while no one's asking questions and user notes, I would like for you guys to start working in groups. Shouldn't be working by yourselves. Khan Academy assignments are going to come out. You have a homework assignment that's due today at 3 o'clock. You have to reply watched to a video. That is what your attendance is based on, okay? If you're here and I remember, I saw your name, I also mark you present, but sometimes I forget. It is supposed to be based on an assignment. That's supposed to be the rule. You have to respond. If you do an assignment late, it's counted. I just have to submit attendance before 4 o'clock, or then Kinvolve doesn't let you do it. All right, from here, I'm just going to review homework. I think some people had trouble with homework, or at least there was a lot of questions. Is this homework, or do you guys not do this? That's the same question, isn't it? Yeah, that's the same question. Okay, so homework review. The center of circle Q has coordinates 3, -2. So this is your H and K. And circle Q passes through 7, 1. So this is your X and Y. What is the length of its diameter? So I'm going to cheat. Just because it's taking me forever to write. So here's the equation of a circle. And I'm going to substitute into this equation just using what I labeled. So X is 7, H is 3, Y is 1, K is -2, and this should all equal the radius squared. So again, I'm going to use a calculator. There's no reason to make this crazy for yourselves. So 7 minus 3 squared plus 1 minus -2 squared. I get 25, right? But what you want to remember is 25 equals the radius squared. So that means the radius would equal the square root of 25, or just 5. And this question asks you for a diameter. So the radius is the distance from the center to a point on the circle. The diameter is twice of that. So 2 times 5 equals your diameter, or just 10. Does anybody have questions with this? No?
No.
Anybody else? I know there were a few people who asked questions about this on their homework assignments. Okay, there's nothing in the chat. Is it okay to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So next question. X squared plus 4x plus y squared minus 6y minus 12 equals 0 is the equation of a circle. What's the radius? So what you want to know is factoring here is actually not the goal. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly here. X plus 4, if I remember how to factor this, I just divide 4 by 2. and I write x plus 2 squared. Since I wrote plus 2 squared here, I'm just going to highlight it. I have to write 2 squared on the other side of the equal sign. Then I'm going to do the same thing for y. So I have y minus, the minus comes from the sign of the y value. Divide 6 by 2 to get 3. And if I put 3 squared here, I want to put 3 squared on the other side. And all of you guys should notice that nothing happened with this 12 so far, right? To have the equation of a circle in standard form, you have to have the two factors here, and this means we want to move this 12 to the other side or make it plus 12. So for the purpose of this question, this is all we care about. This equals the radius squared, and the question is asking for the radius. So what we want to do is solve. 4 plus 9 plus 12. When we add these up, we get 13 plus 12, or 25. I saw a lot of people write this as the answer. Remember, all of this equals the radius squared. So if this is your radius squared, your radius would be the square root of 25. You do not see that here because the square root of 25 is just 5. Any questions about this? No, maybe? No. Okay. All right, last one. We had a few people get this question either wrong or ignore the question. So, two forms of mistakes. One mistake was not putting it in standard form. So what does that mean? That means we have x squared plus y squared minus 6x. If you want it in standard form, you're supposed to move this 8y to the other side, or add 8y to the other side. 8y is not a like term, which means you just write plus 8y equals 56. This was one of the common mistakes. People were using negative 8y, so when you use the shortcuts, you have to have it in standard form. Any questions about this? You're early, Hanadi. Okay. I don't hear any questions. Unmute your mic because I can't see the chat at this point if you have a question. So from here, I'm going to highlight the two things we need to look at. We need to look at minus 6x and positive 8y. So I'm going to factor x, divide 6 by 2 to get minus 3 squared, plus y, divide by 8 to get plus 4 squared. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So if we had 3 squared and 4 squared, we want to do that to the other side. So plus 3 squared, plus 4 squared. And then when we type this into the calculator, which I'll just show, why not? 56 plus 3 squared plus 4 squared. Remember, negatives don't matter. When you square a negative, it's just positive. So we get 81 equals. I wonder if I could do this. That didn't work. Never mind. I'm trying to learn stuff as I go. So x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared. So in your answers, a lot of you guys either forgot to find the radius. The radius is the square root of 81 or just 9. And some of you guys didn't state the center. Change the signs, 3, -4. Some of you guys didn't change the signs, and that's why you got that question wrong. So this was a review. This was a heavy homework assignment, unlike recent ones. It had 3 questions. You could always resubmit if you didn't get a grade you like. Does anybody have any questions? If you don't have any questions, you guys could log off. If you have any questions, just ask. If some people here are early for the next meeting, just wait till 1 and we'll start. No idea.